ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So the Vibhuti Yoga, this chapter we find that Sri Krishna is revealing the divine manifestation, the Vibhutis, to help the devotees contemplate on the divine through the many excellences we see in the world. That all the excellences which we see in the world, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that if you find that people are getting attracted to certain person, there are huge congregations there. Generally what we feel sometimes, we feel, oh, there must be something very some gray zone there must be there, some sort of fraudulent activities may be there. But Sri Ramakrishna is warning us, and that's the way you are polluting your mind. All the evils which are within you, that finds expression through the way you think. As Swami Vivekananda used to give a very nice example, that he used to say that if you see evil in the world, don't blame the world. Blame yourself, that evil is still within you, and that's why you can relate to the evil outside. And he used to give a very simple example. Suppose a lump of gold, a brick of gold is lying on the table, and a small child is just crawling. His infant is crawling. Someone comes and grabs that brick of gold and runs away. Does the child have any idea that some theft has occurred? Something has been stolen? No, because there is no thief in his mind. As long as the idea of theft is not there in his mind, he can never relate to it. So when we are relating to the evils of the world, instead of blaming the world, we should blame ourselves, that this idea of the evil is within me, so I'm harboring them. And that's why I can relate to all the evils outside. What's the way out? Sri Ramakrishna is that's why he's saying a very nice thing. That wherever you find any excellence, people are being attracted for whatever may be the reason. Know that there is a special manifestation of the divine there. And through this, what happens? A subjective change happens. The entire spiritual journey is subjective. It has nothing to do with the external. How we are reacting to the situations in our day-to-day life. How we can transform all our reactions in such a way that it speaks of sublimity. It speaks of purification. That's what spirituality is. So if I can relate to all the excellences which I see in the world as divine, that helps me in the spiritual journey. Just sometimes jokingly I say that if I were in India and these Dandenong ranges would have been just in India, every day if you go there, so many tourists are going and visiting. They're just going for enjoying the scenic beauty. It's not bad. But if it was India, this Vibhuti Yoga, invariably there would have been a temple. Invariably there would have been a temple. And the people will be going there, enjoying the same beauty, but with a sense of that sublimation. What's that? You have deified. The same scenic beauties you are relating with the divine. You go there, enjoy the beauty, but at the same time, a devotional aspect finds expression through your psyche, through your entire being. And that brings a wonderful inner purification. So we generally segregate the spiritual life from our day-to-day dealings with the world. That only when I'm sitting in the shrine, closing my eyes, meditating, it's spiritual. I get up from my meditation seat, now I'm dealing with the world, everything becomes secular. Why it happens? Because of our wrong understanding. If it is the divine, all the religions you will find, directly or indirectly speaks of that God is both transcendental, that He is beyond this existence, that the way we relate to the world with all the limitations, that doesn't apply to Him, that is transcendent. But at the same time, He is immanent. In all the religions you'll find that it is He who is permeating the entire creation. If that be the so fact, then why not we deify the world? Just as you go to the Kashi, it's not only the Vishwanath temple or the Annapurna temple. People feel that the entire Kashi, entire Varanasi is vibrating with spirituality. The presence of Shiva is there in each and every stone particle, each and every pebble. That very nicely they say, Kashi ke har kankhar hai bhole shankar. That each and every pebble, each and every stone of Kashi is nothing but Shiva and Shiva alone. So Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. The first verse of the Isha Upanishad. That permeate the entire existence with the divine. Isha. Ish means the Lord. Isha, the Lord. Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Whatever you see. Yat Kincha. Whatever you see in this world. Permeated with the divine. So this idea, very interesting, you will find in the Isha Upanishad, one of the very small Upanishad, it has just 18 mantras. And Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. There are many who interpret, who say that actually Bhagavad Gita is an interpretation of the Isha Upanishad. Each and every verse is a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Because there also we find the same idea. That to permeate, not to seek God, to see Him. Open your eyes and see Him. He is there, here and now. He is not something far away, here and now. Just open your eyes, see Him, change your attitude, and then the world gets transformed. And that's the idea we'll find in the entire chapter of the Vibhuti Yoga. Just to see the divine in all the excellences which we see in the world. And we saw that in the third mantra, what it was mentioned that we studied in the last class, Yo mam ajam anadincha vetti loka maheshwaram asangmura samarteshu sarva papai pramuchyate. He goes beyond all sin. Sarva papai pramuchyate. How? But knowing the Lord to be the Maheshwara, Maha Ishwara, the Lord of the entire existence. What it speaks of, as we were discussing in the last class, that He is the doer. He is the enjoyer. In our day-to-day life, we feel that whenever I am resorting to any action, whenever I am resorting to any project, whenever I am resorting for my careeristic pursuits, I think it is I who am the doer. And the results which I accrue, I am the enjoyer. But in ultimate sense, from the spiritual standpoint, we will find that we are neither the doer, we are neither the enjoyer. In a very simple way, we can understand this example which we resort to again and again. When the mother is loving the child, taking care of the child with full motherly affection, she feels she loves the child. She is the doer. But if there is no need for any scientific evidence, with our common sense we can understand. If I just now ask that can the mother help herself? Isn't it that the feeling of that motherly love is something spontaneous. Did he have to culture it? No. The moment the child was born, that love welled up. What it shows? That there must be something larger than life. Nowadays we call it is the plan of the nature. Whatever you call it, whatever nomenclature you give it, there is something much larger than life which has planned our existence, which has formatted our existence. And we are within that format. We cannot help ourselves. Can you find any mother, what to speak of human beings, even in the animal world, that doesn't love its child? That love wells up from the heart. So it has been planned to sustain the creation. God has as if inserted that love, implanted that love in the heart of the mother. And now she is helpless. She has to do what she is doing for taking care of the child. Now if she forgets this fact, that I am just a mere channel, I am an instrument in the hand of a higher power, which we call the divine. It is the divine who is working through me. Then the question of expectation doesn't come. That yes, I love my child, I did so much for my child, and now after growing up, this is the way he behaves. Why? I was thinking I was the doer and I am the enjoyer. But if we just can really have a deep speculation, the power of deep speculation, we find I was never the doer. It is the God who was working through me, and I have done the work perfectly as a nice instrument, and there it ends. It is He who has planned as per my child's samskaras. I don't know what it is. When the child grows, that samskaras, all the tendencies will find expression. And in what direction it will take that child, even as a parent, sometimes we find we are helpless, we have no control over it. If I never had that idea that I am the doer, I have done my best, and now God will take care of the rest. If that detachment is there, then the suffering is not there. So, here when the Lord is saying that know me to be the ultimate loka, not of only you or me, of the entire creation, I am the Maheshwara, I am the Lord, ultimately I am the doer. If you know that, then what happens? The first thing, the ego drops off. The sense that I am doing, I have to accrue the result of this. This is the way I should enjoy. And if it doesn't happen, it brings suffering. It all emanates from that ego. Now you have surrendered that ego. Everything happens by the God's will. If there is no reaction, there is no question of accruing the results of karma. We accrue the results of karma the way we react to the situation. As in the Yoga Sutra, very nicely it has been spoken of. That vrittis, our mind is constantly breaking into the pulsations. But as long as those vrittis are associated with kleshas. What are the kleshas? Afflictions. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Avidya, that ignorance. I have forgotten my real nature. From that has came asmita, that ego. And from the ego comes raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Attachment, hatred, and tremendous clinging to life. So all this came from asmita. That asmita in another term is the ego. So when the ego drops off, when the idea of that surrender comes, it is the Lord who is working through me. I am just an instrument. And I surrender myself to the will of the divine. Then the question of the stratification, condensation of the ego doesn't arise. Actually, it starts attenuating, dissolving. Like the camphor, it starts dissolving. And then the question of accruing the results of action doesn't come. And you get purified. Sarva papai pramuchyate. The more the detachment, the more the purification, the more the getting rid of all the evils in the form of this liking and disliking. Those actually results in the sin. As we said again and again, that the core of sin is I. Literally it is I. S-I-N. Between S and N the I is. The core of sin is I, literally. And even in spiritual sense, it is true. The core of sin is I. The more the I gets dissolved, the more we get purified. And that's the sanam and bonam of entire spirituality. As Swami Vivekananda used to say when he was in the West, where it's all Christians. Now he was addressing the Christian audience, and they knew that it's the word of the Christ that appeals to them. And how nicely he's saying, if all the religions gets destroyed, but only one sentence of Jesus somehow remains, that's preserved. What's that? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. He says that all the religions will again start generating up, regenerate. All the religions will regenerate. Why? Because that is the sanam and bonam of all the religion. The purification. Blessed are the pure in heart. And that's what's the way of purification? Knowing that the Lord to be the Lord of the universe, He is the one who is the doer. He is the enjoyer. We are just mere instruments, and we have to surrender ourselves to Him. And that entails in the annihilation of the ego, and which results in the purification. So now to surrender everything to the Lord is not easy in our day-to-day life, in each and every activity, to surrender ourselves. Just as we said, that the love which the mother feels is actually the Lord. Lord in the form of the love is implanted in the heart. But this idea that all the faculties which we have, all the human faculties which we have, is actually not mine. It is not that I owe them. It is the Lord who is manifesting as all those faculties. This is the idea which will be spoken of in the next two verses, which we are going to take up now. The 4th and the 5th verse of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what are those? There are 20 faculties we'll find will be spoken of in these next two verses. Let's just study these verses, and then we will go to the literal meaning as well as the interpretation of it. What's that? Buddhi jnanam asang moha kshama satyam dama shamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhava bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushti tapo danam yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithag vidha. So from me alone arise these various qualities. This matta eva, from me. This prithag vidha, all these varieties, various faculties of the humans that originate. What are those faculties? Buddhi, the intellect. Buddhi, jnana. Jnana speaks of knowledge. Asang moha. Asang moha speaks of the clarity of thought. Moha speaks of delusion. Asang moha, the negation, means clarity of thought, beyond the delusion. So buddhi is the intellect, jnana is the knowledge, asang moha speaks of clarity of your thought, kshama, forgiveness, satyam, adherence to truth, truthfulness, dama, to have control over the senses, shama, to have control over the mind, dama, shama, sukham, dukkham, and all the experiences of joy and happiness, the sukha, and dukkha, all the misery, bhavo bhava. Whenever we have the sense of existence, that I exist, that is bhava. It is always associated with the idea of abhava. Yes, I am here, but I am not going to be in this form through eternity. A time will come when I will be annihilated. The death will be there. The absence of me in this psychophysical existence won't be there. That is the abhava. Bhava. So whenever there is life, it is associated with the fear of death. Bhava, abhava. Bhayam cha abhayameva cha. Fear as well as fearlessness. So whenever we have the feeling of fear, and when we are, fearlessness is not absence of fear, to do something in spite of fear, despite of fear. So that's the fearlessness, to overcome fear. That's abhaya. So whenever I think myself as the Atman, the Brahman, the Absolute, which is beyond, my existence is beyond this psychophysical existence. When this body is annihilated, I do exist. That's the real standpoint of abhaya. So when you are practicing that type of spirituality, it can lead you to abhaya. When you think yourself as a mere physical being, that leads to bhaya. So bhaya, abhaya mevacha, ahimsa. Ahimsa speaks of non-violence. And then samatha, equipoise. In whatever situation of life you practice, you find nothing can disturb you. You are not getting too exhilarated by all the good things of life, and nor you are getting too depressed by the setbacks. So that speaks of samatha, that's equipoise. Tushti, that you are always, appeased, that you never have that, there's this sense of need, want, that whatever I get, I'm satisfied with that. So it is tushti means contentment. So it is tushti is contentment. Tapo, your faculty to endeavor, to go against all the obstructions and endeavor for excellence. That speaks of tapa. Generally, we translate tapasya as some type of practices, some type of penances. That is also correct, but that is a very restricted meaning. Tapa actually means whenever we are endeavoring to excel in any field, you will find there are a lot of obstructions. My resilience to fight beyond, to overcome all those obstructions and to achieve excellence is tapa. That's why even in our scriptures they say, Chhatranam adhyayanam tapa. For a student, to study is tapasya. Because you will find that sometimes lethargy is there, sometimes distractions are there. I try to overcome those laziness, distractions, procrastination, and I am firm in my resolve in my studies, because I know that will lead to some excellence. So that is tapas. So tapa, this is your endeavor to fight against all the odds to reach excellence. And then dhanam, that you will find that when I see someone in misery, someone poor, that I feel like helping him, either by providing some physical help or even through consolations. So in whatever way, that is a dana. When you are trying to help others, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's dhanam. Yasho ayasha. Because of all my good deeds, the fame which I attain, that is not mine, it's the Lord's. Ayasha. And even because of my bad deeds, whatever this infamy I have, that also is the Lord's. That He has planned the universe in such a way that if you do certain actions, you have to accrue the result. So it is His plan. So accordingly, I am just going through. Why these things have been said? It helps us to cope up with the life in any situation. That when you are extremely, happy because of some excellences and people are adoring you, that's the time to maintain equipoise if you think it is all the gift of God. It's all the gift of God. And then the pride doesn't come, the ego doesn't come. You are not fanning your ego anymore. The sense of resignation comes. And even when I am suffering, people are going against me. Instead of constantly blaming myself, if I think that to gather experience through the experiences of life, good or evil, that's the way we reform, that's the way we transform. So this also is a gift of God. You will find in Mahabharata, when Kunti was asked for Krishna asked for some boon, some blessings. Kunti's prayer was wonderful, that he was saying, give me suffering, give me infamy. Why? Because when I'm suffering, when I'm in crisis, when all are slandering me, that's the time I pray, I remember you. In my affluence, I forget you. Just see how brave one has to be to pray from the Lord such a blessing. So this infamy, what you say, this, your name and fame, or it is infamy, whatever it may be. It's all the Lord's and Lord's alone. So this, just see, there's the 20 faculties has been spoken of. Buddhi speaks of what? Your intelligence. To enter this intellect. With the intellect to understand the subtle things. Jnana, the knowledge which results out of it. Asang moha, that knowledge helps to get rid of all the delusion. So all our delusions previously, our intellect, these are all the things we can relate to very easily. When with our intellect we get the knowledge, we get rid of delusion. Previously, for thousands of years, we believed in the heliocentric universe. That as if Earth is the center of the entire universe. The sun, the moon, everything is revolving around it. So that was moha, that was delusion, that was the wrong knowledge. With our intellect, with the faculty to penetrate through the mysteries of the universe, when it was discovered that it's not the fact, it is actually the earth which is revolving around the sun, that the knowledge came, and from that knowledge the delusion fell off. So buddhi, jnana, asammoha, kshama. When I am forgiving, why this has been all mentioned? Just see, just now we are saying that dissolution of the ego is the only spiritual practice. Even from forgiveness, that ego can develop. Oh, it is I who have forgiven. No. It is the Lord who has implanted in my heart this faculty of forgiveness. If he could have easily made me in a different way. He could have made me a cruel person. Revenge for anything, anytime. But I find that no, I do feel that let me forgive my enemy. This faculty is something, have I cultured? No, in Buddhism they say a very nice thing. That why should we meditate? We should meditate to get rid of the noise of the mind. This noise of the mind, all these disturbances of the mind, they are the filtering factor. They filter out all the noble qualities which are already there in my heart. So you should meditate, and then you need not have to think of culturing this thing. That love, compassion, forgiveness, you need not have to culture. If your mind is calm, you will find it is already there in your heart. That's why nowadays in Buddhism they say that previously, when the genes, the study of the genes, initial stages when it was going on, there was this famous book called The Selfish Genes, as if our genes are selfish. It was a very, one of the bestseller books. But now as the studies are going on, that more and more knowledge we are getting, we find no. That somehow inherent within us is the idea of altruism. The entire evolution has happened because of altruism. It's not because of struggle and fighting with each other. I have certain deficiency, you have certain deficiency, let us all cooperate. And then you get something which is called synergy. In the world of living beings, 2 plus 2 is not 4. In mathematics, 2 plus 2 is 4. But when I, with my deficiencies, try to cooperate with others, the output is something much, much greater. So that's what's this synergy, so this synthetic, synthesized energy. That when that speaks of a tremendous output. So all this comes from where? From again, it's all implanted within us. And that's how we have evolved. Remove the noise of the mind, purify your mind, they're already installed there. So this forgiveness is something which has been implanted in our heart by God. It's only the reactions, the so-called impurities which results from our ego that hides it, that covers it. Calm down your mind, meditate, try to maintain that equipoise. You will find compassion, altruism, forgiveness, all these qualities are welling up from within you. The word welling up is very important. If you pump out all the water from a well, you find that the well is totally dry. Next day morning you come, again the water has welled up. Why? The underground water is already there. You need not have to pour water. The water simply from the ground level comes and rises up. So similarly, all these good qualities are not something outside which we have to culture. It all wells up. The moment we can empty our mind, it wells up. All those things wells up. So the kshama, dhamma, shama. Dhamma, this practicing of controlling the senses. How come it comes? It's something wells up from within. You will find that if I have got the taste of that equipoise, we are extremely busy with the life, just taking care of immediate needs every day, immediate wants, immediate needs, immediate concerns. And we think that's what the life is. Throughout the day I'm busy, and the evening I go for party. I'm just mad throughout the day with my pursuits. But if somehow I have just a chance for a retreat, 2-3 days I stay alone, and suddenly I find that the calmness of the mind, it speaks of a certain type of joy, a qualitative joy which I have never experienced. And then you feel that when you have calmed down your mind, that calming of the senses is something very, very important for the nourishment of our psyche, for the nourishment of our soul. Unless in our all the Indian languages, their word swasth is used. In Bengali they call shustho. Shustho means we are nowadays translated as health, as if free from disease. But the actual etymological meaning of the word swasth is totally different. When a sadhu meets another sadhu, when a monk meets another monk, he asks, swasth hona? Are you swasth? From that, the others have started thinking, they are asking about their physical well-being. No. The word swasth means swa plus this swasth, the one who is residing, sthita. Swa me sthita, the one who is residing in himself. So when a sadhu is asking the other, he's actually reminding him, have you got distracted in the world, or are you residing in yourself? Swasthona. That's the sign of health. The more you can reside within you, the more you are healthy. The more your psyche is calm, the more you are healthy. And that's the idea of shama. Calm down your mind. The bliss that comes out, it's the bliss of the divine. And that's the urge coming from within. That first, in our initial stages of our evolution, we think all the happiness comes from outside. We have to evolve to really feel that happiness was never from outside. Never. This world doesn't have the capacity to give you even a small bit of happiness. That's what Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, in the very second chapter, in this Bhagavad Gita itself, in one of his slokas, he's interpreting it that way. The gandha matram api na vidyate. The happiness doesn't exist, even the fragrance of it is not there in this world. Why? You say, why? There's so many things give me happiness. I buy a new car, I feel elated. And you say that there is no happiness outside there. But if you try to really find out the nature of happiness, what has happened? When I am having an intense desire, I want to have this, I want to have this, I want to have a latest model of the laptop, computer, car, whatever it may be. That intense desire is actually in the form of a wave in my mind, constantly disturbing, huge wave. Swami Vivekananda used to give a very nice allegory that your mind is just like a lake. The bottom of the lake is our real nature, which is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Sat Swarupa. What it speaks of? Sat means that which exists always, through all the phases of time, past, present, future. So the real nature of me is that Sat Swarupa. It is eternal. And then, is it something inert? No. That the real me, which is eternal, is consciousness, Chit. And again, that I am aware of my existence. That speaks of Sat and Chit. That I exist and am aware of my existence. And Ananda is the bliss, the happiness. Now, very interesting, you will find the Swamiji is saying that when the mind, the lake called mind, is disturbed, the waves are there, you cannot see the bottom of the lake. You will find even in our day-to-day life. If a swimming pool, all are just swimming there, the children are swimming, jumping, having fun and frolic, you'll find that the bottom of the swimming pool is not visible. Now, the session is over, they leave. Now, no one is there in the swimming pool, it is calm, the water is calm, transparent. And if a key ring has fallen on the swimming pool, you will find exactly where it is. So the waves are something which doesn't allow you to see the bottom of the lake. So that's an obstruction. When the waves calm down, then the filtering factor is no more there, and then the bottom is visible. It was the wave that was filtering. Similarly in the mind, when I'm having intense desire for something, my mind is agitated. The moment I get the thing, whether it's a car or it's a computer or whatever it may be, or the job which I was hankering for, or my academic excellence which I was in pursuit of, whatever it may be, the moment I attain that, I feel elated. What has happened? That the disturbance in the mind in the form of the waves, I want this, that has subsided for the time being. A let go has ensued. That happiness is not coming from outside. It is coming from within. It's not from outside. It is coming from within. But because of our ignorance, we feel this is the thing which has given happiness. This world doesn't have the capacity to give us even a small bit of happiness. It all comes from within. So this we have to understand, that always if we can keep the calm, then the sukha, that sukham, dukkham, that sukha from where it actually coming? From within. And dukkha, that also when that I am not able to keep my mind calm. That's the result of all the miseries, dukkha. So what has happened? Very interesting. Here you will find that both the good qualities and the bad qualities, God is speaking, is coming from Him only. So this is a wonderful thing in Vedanta. In all other dualistic religion, in Abrahamic religion, we find that the good and evil are thought of as two separate existences. There is God and there is Satan. But in Vedanta, we will find this wonderful idea, that there is no such duality. If we think of the duality, then there has to be a perfect understanding between them. That how much good I am, this God can think of delivering in this world, and Satan also has his parts, how much evil. And they should have a very proper understanding. So that's a dichotomy and an understanding which cannot be resolved. But in Vedanta they say there is no such dichotomy. Actually, good and evil is not separate. Everything is good. Even the evil has come from the divine. How to explain it, how to understand? Just take a small seed. A small seed, the banyan seed, it has the capacity, it has the potentiality to become a huge banyan tree. It has the potentiality. Now, if for some reason the seed has fallen in a very dry place, arid, dry, arid place. Can it grow? No, it will dry up. Or it has fallen in some land which is extremely soggy, marshy land, damp. Then what will happen? Then also that seed cannot grow. It gets rotten. Now, is the rotten seed or the dry seed an expression of evil? No. It is just the expression of the fact that potentially couldn't be realized because of some obscuring factors. Nothing else. So dukkha also is what? It's coming, the sukha. That came from the Lord. Dukkha, it is from the Lord. Potentially it is the Lord because of some turbulence in the mind. Because of my too much, stress, strain, conflicts. That the goodness, which is the potentiality of my being, that is not manifesting. And that is finding expression as dukkha. As simple as that. So there is no duality there. So that's why we will find that Swami Vivekananda in the West, in his lecture, he is saying that good and evil, they are not, the difference is not in kind, but in manifestation. The same thing, when it can manifest, when all the filtering factors have been removed, it finds expression as good. And when the filtering factors are still there, it finds expression as evil. So the difference is in manifestation, not in kind, not in separate, that good is something separate, bad is something separate. No. The so-called criminal is in the jail, most probably. So even for him, whatever he is doing is the expression of the divine. You will say, oh, it's horrible. How can you say that? That somehow because of his wrong way of life, who has developed a tendency, that only by stealing something I get happiness. Why I am saying it is evil? Why I am saying it is evil? Because when you are getting the happiness, it is coming from divine. But you have adopted such a means for which there is a lot of obstruction. It cannot be eternal. For the timing I got happiness, but the society, the law is such, I will be caught today or tomorrow and I will be in the jail. And even if I am not in the jail, when I am going for each and every act of theft, that concern is there. I may get caught. Again you are disturbed. So the happiness is very little. You have adopted such a means by which you are getting the happiness, that happiness is coming from God. That when I get the thing, for the time being let go has ensued, happiness coming from within. But you have adopted such a means that the next time again when you are going, you are having that concern, you are getting caught, there is no way of getting that happiness anymore. So that you have adopted such a means by which you cannot get that happiness which is coming from God eternally. So that results in dukkha. So if I adopt certain means, just see how wonderful that way you can understand this. That I adopt such a means. What? By meditation I get ananda. Now even if the world misunderstand me, that I have done nothing wrong, but somehow I have been got caught because of some conspiracy, even if I am in jail, but you have developed that habit of just sitting quietly, meditating, calming down your mind and get the eternal joy from within. Can anyone take away your happiness from you? No. Wherever you may be, whatever may be your situation, whether you get the good conditions or bad conditions, nothing can take away. So that's why that is good. Why that is good? Because you have adopted certain means by which the happiness which comes only from within, from the divine, there is no obstruction factor for that. You have adopted such a means. That's why that is good. Theft, why it is not good? Because you have adopted such a means by which that eternal happiness won't be there. Now and then you may get tidbits of that happiness, but then it's gone and you are in abject misery. That's why it's evil. So all these things, these dualities, that way can be explained. That whenever there's an obscuring factor, just in the case of the seed, what was the obstruction? That the lack of proper environment for it to grow. Either it was arid or it was too damp. So similarly, when there is not proper culture to keep your mind pure, then the goodness which is within you doesn't find expression, and then that finds expression as duality. Good, bad, sukha, dukkha, bhavo, bhava. That's just what we're saying. Bhavo. I exist. If that sense of existence is from the spiritual portal, from the spiritual standpoint, then there is no question of abhava. But abhava, why that sense of abhava, why it comes? That as long as I am not aware of my spiritual essence, I think this psychophysical existence to be my only existence. Then that abhava comes, the fear of, and from that the fear comes bhaya and abhaya. Just see, all those things, dualities are coming from that inherently you are pure, you inherently you are eternal, inherently you are ever fulfilled. But whenever it is this, there is what is obstruction in its manifestation, it is finding expression as evil. But it is coming from God. So that's the wonderful idea you will find, is all these dualities, bhava, abhava. And then ahimsa, samata, tushti. There's all these things, ahimsa. This just now you're saying this non-violence. This also is from the Lord and Lord alone. This is to sustain this creation. He has given this sense of compassion. From that, the sense of from this idea of the non-violence comes. That is also from the Lord. Samata, equipoise. So that once you enjoy that bliss, from that your tendency to be at equipoise always. Because that's the only way of eternal happiness. The more I am equipoised, the more I am happy. Because the happiness is something always there. It is getting filtering out of because of all the negative factors in the form of the turbulence of the mind. If I can remove that, then that equipoise is, if it is always equipoised, then that happiness is always there. So that there's samatha, which speaks of what? The eternal quest from within to enjoy the happiness, unadulterated happiness. In scriptures they speak of it as taila dharavat, the happiness which is just like the flow of the oil. Even the oil is being poured from one vessel to the other, because of the viscosity, there is no gap. It's a continuous flow. The scriptures say that after all, the aim of life is to have that type of happiness. Is there any common goal for the entire humanity? Yes, there's only one common goal. That whatever may be our profession, whatever may be our belief, whatever may be our nationality, is there anyone who wants suffering? Is there anyone who doesn't want happiness? If that be so, the way of eternal happiness, how is possible? By that equipoise, and that comes through ahimsa and tushti. Tushti, this contentment, that whatever may be the situations of life, I constantly don't urge for getting more and more. I'm satisfied. That again speaks of the samatha. From samatha comes that tushti, contentment. Danam, yasho, yasha. Danam means again giving, that comes out of altruism, compassion. Yasha, ayasha. This yasha, ayasha we were discussing, that whatever establishment I have because of my good deeds, if I always am aware of the fact it is because of the divine of which I am just an instrument, it is the divine who is working through me and all the establishment is his, then the question of that ego to flare up is no more there. And then a sense of resignation comes. You are no more baffled by your ego. You are, and infamy also the same thing. That yes, maybe there has been some wrongdoing in my life because of my lack of proper understanding. But this suffering is a feedback for me to continue with my life, with my pursuits. So whatever this dukkha, bhagavaner dayar dan. In Bengali they say that suffering is the gift of God out of compassion. It is His compassion from which this dukkha has come. If we can take it that way, then what happens? That just you will see this, all these faculties, when I think is coming from God, what happens? It helps me to not to react, not to be reactive to the particular situation. In this world, the suffering comes from the reaction. The happenings, if it contributes 10% of our suffering, 90% comes from the reaction. The moment I can now offer all my faculties to the divine, acknowledge that it is coming from Him, that reaction, that's the thing that is subdued. And you are more resigned to the divine. And you find nothing is there which can torment you. You can enjoy the eternal bliss. And that's the idea which comes out from these two mantras. So when you acknowledge the fact that all the faculties are not yours, it is the God and God alone. And that's what God is asserting here. This bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva, from my only, eva prithak, with all these varied, these faculties, these 20 faculties which is spoken of here, they all come from me. After saying that, now in the next two verses, this will be spoken of in the 5th verse, that this again, 4th and 5th, this is the 6th verse. The 6th verse is Maharshaya Saptapurve Chatvara Manavastatha Madbhava Manasa Jata Yeshang Loka Imah Praja. So in this verse, just go to the literal translation, what it speaks of. The 7 great sages, Maharshaya, that we speak of, that Swami Vivekananda is one of those Saptarshis, 7 sages. So this Maharsha Saptapurve, the 7 rishis, Chatvara Manavastatha. Chatvara, the 4 Kumaras, and we will just come to the discussion. The 4 Kumaras, the 7 rishis, Manavastatha, the Manu. There are 14 Manus. That's who actually coined the laws for a particular time span. That all the laws which will be governing the society, these are coined by these Manus. This Manavastatha, there are 14 such Manus. So it makes 25 in number. So Madbhava, Manasa Jata, they came from me, from my mind, as if Yeshang Loka Ima Praja. So the 7 great sages, the 4 great saints before them, and the 14 Manus are all born from my mind. From them, all the people in the world have descended. So it is from the divine, everything have descended. This is the meaning. What are these? When God, from the God, the project, this creation is projected. Very interesting. This entire creation is a projection. It's not something tangibly real. There are 2 ideas in Vedanta. One is called Parinamavada and that is called Vivartavada. That when something is created, how it is created? Something has got transformed into something. That's like milk getting converted to yogurt. Is the creation something like that? Science will say yes. It's a total transformation. The matter, energy, they are all constantly transforming, acting, reacting, and all the changes are happening. But Vedanta says that it is actually Vivarta. Vivarta. Is what? That suddenly I am in the twilight hours, I am passing through a street, and suddenly I get scared. I see a snake. And actually it is a rope. Because of lack of proper light, I see it as a snake. So Vedanta says that the creation is actually as such not a transformation. It is the Lord which is appearing as the universe. As the universe. Now very interesting, if I am aware of the fact that it is a virtual reality, then the virtual reality cannot in any way disturb me. It cannot bind me. Just to give an example, that I pay money and go to watch a movie. For the time being, I get absorbed with the movie. But why I pay money and go there, I know because it is a enjoyment for the time being. I will go as if get identified with all those characters, but when I come out, I feel I am refreshed. I have been it was a recreation for me. Why? Because after all, it doesn't really affect me. It is a world of virtual reality. Now, very interesting. The first came the 4 Kumaras. The 4 Kumaras. This Sanak, Sanandan, Sanat, and Sanatan. These are the 4 Kumaras. From the God's mind, these are the first 4 creation. From the mind's creation. That everything is a projection. Now, these 4 Kumaras, when they were created, they could easily decipher the fact that it is all projection. If you have seen a movie called Matrix, this idea will become very clear. That why that we are all is a part of the projection. But why don't we realize? Because we are inside the projection. It's very difficult to find out that I am a projection if I am a part of that projection, inside that projection. So these four Kumaras, when God created, they were outside the matrix. They could easily decipher, oh, everything is projection, and nothing could bind them. To give an example again, the Swamiji's example, which we have cited so many times, that Swami Vivekananda, as a wandering monk, was passing through the deserts of Rajasthan. And he was thirsty, he was in search of water, and he saw a huge reservoir. And he started proceeding towards it. And then suddenly that reservoir vanished. And then immediately that idea came. Oh, from childhood I have studied about mirage. It was an intellectual knowledge for me, but I have never experienced it. I have studied in my textbook. I thought I knew what mirage is, but for the first time I experienced. Now what's the result? Next day, again when I am passing through the desert, again I am thirsty. Again I see the mirage. Again I see the reservoir. But today there is a big difference. Yesterday it dragged me. Today it has lost the power to drag me, because I know it's a projection. So once you know the entire creation is a projection, the desire falls off. Because after it's a projection, it's not a tangible reality. So these four Kumaras were eternally free. Now God's purpose of creation was not served that way. So these are eternally, they escaped because of God's wrong programming, most probably. They escaped, these four Kumaras, and they are the eternal free. And then after that he created this Saptarishi who procreated. They were in the verge of, means they called in the, just in the borderline of this phenomenon and noumenon. Though they had the consciousness that they are the rishis, they know they are the eternal perfect one, but they, this, as in the words of Ramakrishna, they can, is bach khala, he used to say bach khala, that the fish plays, how it plays, it will be swimming from one shore of the river to the other shore. That the river is flowing, it likes to somehow just swim across this current from one shore to the other. So similarly, these rishis, they are aware in the deep meditation of the illusoriness of the world, but from that state they come down and start relating to the world. Again they go back. To relate to this idea, Sri Ramakrishna's one very funny example will help you. That when Sri Ramakrishna one day went to attend this prayer of the Brahmo Samaj, and there this prayer meeting was going on, and then Keshav and the other Brahmos were praying, "O Lord, that make us dive deep into the ocean of Satchidananda, of bliss absolute." And Ramakrishna was a very funny person. He said, "How can you dive deep? Then what will happen to those who are sitting behind the screen?" In those days, the woman, they were the system of purda. The women folk were never seen. They will never come in the congregation. But at the same time, they also are supposed to enjoy what's going on in the congregation. They also are supposed to get enlightened. So what the system was, so on the upstairs, from the veranda, you can see everything, but there will be a screen. So from the place of congregation, you cannot see them. But from behind the screen, the transparent screen, they can see you. So Ramakrishna pointed to this parda. She knew very well that there are ladies sitting there. And he said to Keshav that if you dive deep, then what will happen to those women? Who will look after them? So what you have to do, don't pray that way, that let me dive deep. Just pray, let me just take a small dip and again come to the shore. Again take a dip, again come to the shore. And this is the condition of these Saptarshis, Maharshi. So they are playing in both the planes. And for them, then this purpose of the creation was successful. This world was procreated. And now once the creation is there has to be the laws to bind. Just once you have your car, you cannot simply move out and just drive as you wish. Once you are there, that thousands of cars are there, then the government has to make these traffic rules, isn't it? That lights, green lights. Manus are the traffic lights, the simplest rules. So they came to make the laws there. So these all came from where? From the blueprint which God has created. It was all in the mind. And then from there it came. So any creation happens twice, isn't it? That's this building. First, that I had an idea in my mind. That if it was we who were building it, then what? Where the shrine will be, where the library will be, where the living quarters will be, all those things we have a plan. We call an engineer. And our plan is then converted into a blueprint. These materials are yet to arrive. The bricks, the mortars, nothing has come. It's all in my mind. From that, the material universe comes into existence. So all the creations are twice. First, it has to be in the mind, and then the material manifestation of it. God says, so that's how gradually these 4 Kumaras was my failure, but in a way it's not a failure. It is they who are, these 4 Kumaras, who are as if going around subtly, inspiring the entire humanity in the path of liberation, because they are ever free. They are always there to poke us and say, oh, don't be deluded in this illusion. There is a way out. So that's not a failure, we will say. These eternal frees are there to liberate the other humankind or other beings. And this these rishis are there to bring this world into existence, procreate and bring this world into existence. At the same time, their mind is also established in the divine. And then comes the Manu, who actually creates the laws for this universe. But all this came from where? God is saying, from my mind. So what he is indicating? That whatever you are seeing, whatever the sequence of this manifestation, it may be, it's all permeated by the divine and divine alone. So again this idea, this Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. It's whatever you're seeing, whatever you're relating to is nothing but the divine. The 7 sages, the 4 great saints before them, the 14 Manus are all born from a mind. From them, all the people in the world have descended. So this is the idea which we find in the 6th mantra. Now when you know this, always aware of this, that everything has came from the God. What its consequence is in our life, how it transforms our life, that will be spoken of in the succeeding verses, which again we will take up in the next class. So with this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.